Hello everyone. This is episode 2 recorded on May 22nd. This is about calculating the average percentage rate or the annual percentage rate of an ETF. Today's episode is about the Vanguard Growth ETF, otherwise known as VUG. 10 years ago, if you had invested $10,000, as indicated in the upper left-hand corner, your investment today would be worth $42,148. This is according to Morningstar.com. The Vanguard Ultimate Growth ETF is comprised of three major portions of the sectors, or three major sectors, if you would. And number one is technology with 47%, followed by consumer cyclical of 14.86%, then followed by communication services, 14.19%. As you can see, utilities only makes up not even 0.09% of the market, very small. Energy is considerably small at 1.18%, followed by basic materials at 1.78%. The holdings in the Vanguard Ultimate Growth ETF, the number one holding as of date is Microsoft Corporation, followed by Apple and NVIDIA. Now, NVIDIA today, after closing at 4:30, earnings came in and it was a positive earnings for NVIDIA. So you can look for, in the next coming days, the growth to go up. But just check out the price of NVIDIA, what happened from May 22nd to May 23rd and through all of next week, the week of May 27th. To figure out the compound interest on the VTF, on this one, Vanguard Ultimate Growth, to figure out how much you earn annually, you have to use the following compound interest formula, which is the present value equals the principal times 1 plus the annual interest rate, which we're going to figure out, divided by n, which stands for number of times compounded in a year, raised to a power of n times t. T stands for time in years. And we're given, our first given statement here is the compound interest formula, and the reason is the present value is equal to, again, the principal, what you invest in, 1 plus r over n raised to the power of n times t. And then the second thing we got to do is substitute. Well, what do we know about this? Well, according to the graph, we know that the present value is $42,148. That's based upon a $10,000 investment. This is compounded quarterly and it raises to a power of 40. 40 is derived from the product of how many times it's compounded per year, which is 4 times a year, times the number of years, which is 10. 4 times 10 is 40. And then what do we do from there? We use what's called the division property of equality, where we divide 42,148 and we divide by 10,000. And then you get a decimal of 4.2128. And that's equal to 1 plus r over 4 raised to a power of 40. And then what we do next is something a lot of Algebra 2 students learn towards the end of their year, and that is the natural log. So what we do is we apply the natural log to both sides. And again, you can use a TI-30 calculator or a graphing calculator to solve this. You can even use your phone, but it's not as easy to use. It's much easier to use using a regular calculator, a TI-30 or something substandard to that. So we natural log both sides here. But then what do you do from there? Well, when you natural log an expression and you have an exponent, that exponent goes down. And that's a property of a natural logarithm. So we keep the natural log of 4.2148. You can convert that to another decimal, but we don't want to do that. We want to keep matters as simple as possible. But the 40 goes down here. Instead of being an exponent, it's now a multiplier. But from there, we want to clean up the right side here. So we do that by using what's called division property of 40, or division property of equality, and we divide by 40. And by doing so, we get the natural log of 4.2148. All that is divided by 40, and then the 40 goes away on the right-hand side. But we still have the natural log on the right side as well as the left side. So then what do we do from there? Well, what we do from there is this. We do what's called the inverse of the natural log, and that's called e, the natural exponent. So we natural exponent both sides. So we have e, and the natural log of 4.2148 divided by 40, well, that's one giant exponent. And on the right-hand side, since the e is the inverse of the natural log, the e and the natural log cancel each other out, and that's just simplifying and evaluating. So on a calculator, if you take e to this exponent, you get 1.03662. So if you don't get that the first time, keep trying, and you may have to update your or alter your parentheses to get it correct. But once you do that, e and natural log, that cancels out, and you're left with 1 plus r over 4. Well, then from there, we do what's called subtraction property equality, and we subtract 1 from this decimal. And I have this to 5 decimal places. Sometimes the more decimal places you have, the more accurate your answer can be. But you don't really need more than 4 decimal places, but it depends upon what your decimal looks like. And then when you subtract 1, you get the decimal of 0.03662 equal to r over 4. And then our last step is what's called the multiplication property of equality. And you multiply 4 times 0.03662, and you get this decimal rounded to 4 decimal places of 0.1465. Well, that as a percentage is 14.65%. So, since 2014, the annual percentage rate of the Vanguard Ultimate Growth ETF is 14.65%. To get updated information on this ETF as well as other ETFs, you want to take a look at the link I have up here. Click on where it says Morningstar.com VUG, and it'll take you to the Morningstar website. Once again, this information is for educational purposes only, and it's not intended for financial advice. However, I do own many shares of this ticker symbol. Have a good day, and I'll see you in a month with our next ETF.